I can remember my greatest rock and roll moment at the age of 7, jumping up and down on my parents' bed to the Beatles' Revolution. And that opening guitar riff, that and it's like, yeah! You say you want a revolution. Yes, I wanted a revolution at 7 years old. And it just kept going all my life. Through my teens, 13, 14, 15, in my basement, in the dark, pitch black basement, with your fist raised high, listening to the MC5, listening to Wayne Kramer kick out the jams, and listening to Black Sabbath, and Ozzy singing Snowblind, and NIB, and Sweetleaf, and to Perry Farrell and Jane's Addiction of Ocean Size. That was my life. Music was my life. All the time, walking the streets, headphones, cinema, music scored my life. And then I got into acting, and I was expressing and doing it that way, and performing for 20 years, but I always loved musicians and hung with musicians. And I worked at the Cat Club in LA, I worked on the East Village, at all musical places, at 2A, Mercury Lounge, Bowery Ballroom. I worked these places and enjoyed every night and was so grateful for each night that I was there, because I was seeing 5 bands at a time. And then I was asked to sing for my friend's band at the Bowery Ballroom and front his band, and he said, I think it's time SickWalt fronts my band. Yeah. So that night, I'm on the greatest stage in New York City, the Bowery Ballroom, top 3 stages of all time. Places packed, and the place went ballistic. They were moshing, dancing, throwing shit. I went backstage, and everybody was like, great show, Walt, great show. And my partner in crime, Max Capshaw, comes up to me and goes, did you just see what happened? He's like, we gotta make music. So it was unbelievable. It was an honor. I was ecstatic. I rehearsed 5 songs with them that week. It's only 5 songs they were doing. We come out and we ripped the 5 songs at this concert. People were throwing stuff and dancing and just so ecstatic. Backstage, I go back, everybody, every performer, all the headline acts were like, yo man, that was an amazing show. That was amazing. And Max Capshaw, who asked me to do that, to be in the band, came up to me and said, did you just see that? He's like, we have to make music. He handed me 15 songs, and that's where SickWalt began. I had a band. SickWalt has been around since 2014. And we've just been on a great upward journey since, man. We played the Bowery Ballroom as a start. The place blew up. And went on to play Mercury Lounge, St. Vitus, opened for Agent Orange, the Dickies, the Waldos, the Dictators. I've gone on to work with Wayne Kramer, from the legendary activist from the band and from the MC5. So he handed me his 15 songs, I wrote them. Max Capshaw, Matt Middleton, Chris Pizzolo, myself, Walt SickWalt. We wrote this record influenced, we grew up to Black Sabbath, the Iggy Pop and the Stooges, AC/DC, the Stones, Jane's Addiction. It just all came out in the personal, growing up with Max and good friends and living in New York. And that was a real personal album. Shovin' Love. Shovin' Love is basically, I grew up in New York City, grew up in the East Village, a lot of rock and roll, like I said, the clubs and the bands, and running fast in the streets. I went to Fordham University in the Bronx, lived in the Bronx. I've been in New York and almost lived and grew up all around all the boroughs. Shovin' Love is basically, just comes from all those life stories. Demand the Stage. Demand the Stage, our first track of Shovin' Love. It's about how you can stand in front of drunks who can just keep talking and just talk story after story after story. And you can keep a smile on your face and you can just listen to them. And they can just babble and you can hear them. It comes from all my experience of bartending in New York City for over 20 years and Los Angeles. And just listening to people who just think they know everything and just talk and tell you every story, which way, and that they demand the stage. Like when you walk away from a drunk that's trying to speak, and he's like, oh, now you're not going to listen to me? You're not going to listen to me? Oh, no, I'll listen to you. And you have to entertain these people. The hours that they wasted of me just standing there listening. But they didn't waste it because it taught me something, it made me a person, made me who I am, and made me a better listener. And it was Demand the Stage. And it comes out on the opening track of Shove and Love. It sounds a lot like it's got the Dead Kennedys in it, it's got great punk in it, it's got in your face tempo, and it's just non-stop relentless. It's a great opener. We love opening shows with it. Another song from the New York streets is Die Like Belushi. I used to run a lot in the city. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll, man. And I saw the sun rise a lot of times, and Die Like Belushi was like, if I'm gonna die, I wanna die like Belushi. I wanna go out hard. I wanna go out on top, running the streets of New York City. Song for Johnny. It's a song that was my homage to Johnny Cash. He used to sing about trains. And the song is basically, in parentheses, called Train of Strength. That train of strength is coming. And I sang that song for Johnny because it's how much Johnny Cash did for me, and inspiration, and how he faced adversity and always stood and loved people and would hug and hold and was patient. And he was that listener that would listen to people. $1 Million Man with Shove and Love. It doesn't take a lot of money for you to be $1 million man. It's on the inside. You don't need $1 million. It's about how you feel on the inside and how you act and walk the streets with a smile on your face and treat humanity. And most of the time, I'm $1 million man, and I love people. And I mean, there are times I'm on the floor, on my knees, crying to the skies of the universe. And as an artist, we have our highs and our lows, and you embrace those. You embrace those. Those aren't bad times. Those are just times we live. It's an experience. It's a part of life's experience. We're here to experience and make up stories and to tell stories like I'm telling you right now. To go on. And I have thousands of amazing stories. And the $1 Million Man is about all those stories that I've got inside, that I've been through, all these times, the crazy times, the good times, and those bad times that I'm talking about. And it makes you $1 Million Man. It makes you a steel on the inside that you can't be beat, you won't be beat.